Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Chris Wright. I'm a landscape photographer working out of Granada, Spain. Now, 6 months ago at the beginning of the year, I decided to make two significant changes to the way that I approach photography and filmmaking. And I wanted to have basically a review at 6 months to have a look and see what the impact of these changes have been. Now, broadly, and we'll get into detail later, but the changes that I made were the adoption of the Canon Mirrorless system in the shape of the Canon R5 Mark II and the Canon R7. So these supplemented my DSLRs, which I have slightly mixed feelings about, I'll be honest, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And the other thing that I wanted to address was my approach to location work, so both shooting photographs and making videos of these locations. Okay, let's get into it. These are some of my favourite shots. But what's been clear to me about this year so far has been that I've needed to get more consistent about getting up early. I'm terrible at this. I much prefer to roll over and go back to sleep. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but driving myself to getting up early has been difficult, but it's been a worthwhile activity. I've got some great pictures, I think, shot at dawn this year. I've also, I feel, extended or deepened or built a better connection with the mountain ranges that I live amongst. And it's a completely different experience. When you first arrive, you look at a mountain and you simply don't take in the enormity of it. And I don't mean in size or height, although the Sierra Nevadas are pretty high. It's really the enormity of the opportunity in the different landscapes you're going to get the opportunity to see, the different wildlife and so on and so forth. There's also been an impact from the devotion of more time to making videos, more time to working with other photographers, mentoring and teaching and so on. And that's had an impact. So I've had to get a lot more disciplined about the time that I spend photographing, the time that I spend making videos. And I guess creative challenges. So these are sort of quite far-ranging. There's the weather impact on favourite locations. So, you know, broadly speaking, it's not possible to go up in December and spend an overnight on Mulhausen because it's too damn cold and too damn dangerous. So that's out. So we've had to sort of pick and choose our moments quite carefully, and these are not always sort of seasonally appropriate. The snow season in the peaks extends, or has extended this year deeply into May. So, you know, that's something that I'm kind of grappling with because these look more like winter shoots than they do spring shoots, but you know, it has an impact. I think as well there's an aspect of as you get familiar with locations, you notice much more about them, and in my terms, I'm very drawn to light conditions and the shadows and light, and of course these change hourly, and what I've noticed is through repeatedly visiting the same locations, I've noticed the opportunities for completely different shots because the light is lighting up the landscape in a different way, and I think that's an important thing to take on board. I want to talk about the mirrorless transition. First of all, weight. Taking mirrorless cameras out on a mountain hike is an immediate saving in terms of weight. The 5DS that I've loved and have become very bonded to over the last 5 years weighed an absolute ton, and I'm not getting any younger, and so this mirrorless transition brings with it a lightening of the load, literally, and that's very welcome. Silent shooting has been difficult to get used to. I really do like, even on the quiet mode and the DSLRs, the click of the shutter. It seems sort of fundamental to photography, and I miss that in my mirrorless camera. I'm not quite sure that I've taken the photograph a lot of the time, so you know, as somebody fairly new to mirrorless, there's a whole learning curve there. Because I've stuck with the same system, the menu systems have been very easy to learn. There's a lot more options, a lot more useful stuff buried in these mirrorless cameras, so a little bit of a learning curve, but I think for me, is definitely worth sticking with the same system, not least because I have such an investment in EF lenses, and using an adapter, I can use these lenses with my mirrorless cameras just as well. Battery life, of course, is diabolical, if I'm honest, in mirrorless. I paid a small fortune for bigger and better batteries, and they still don't match what I was used to with my DSLRs, so that's been a disappointment. I get that the battery has been doing a lot more stuff. We've got an electronic viewfinder, so yes, you're racing through your battery in a lot more ways, but that is something that I need to get used to. Taking a charger out with me, for example, to charge the batteries is going to be a change I'm going to have to make this year. Real-world performance, the image quality I think is broadly better. The focus is definitely better. The metering is better. These cameras are more technically advanced, and it feels, perhaps there's a bit of me that you know, the bit of the craftsman in me, this does feel a little bit like cheating, but I have to acknowledge these cameras are better. I don't think there's any question about that. Lens adaptation, as I just mentioned, I use an adapter so I can use my EF lenses. There's a certain inevitability in that I will migrate some of my landscape lenses because they are substantially lighter and smaller, and this will make my packing much easier, and it will extend my ability to keep going out into the mountains for at least another couple of years. So that I think is an inevitability. I'm not looking forward to the expense, but it just is something that I'm going to have to swallow. Let's talk about video now. Now, video has very much been, this is sort of known as breaking the fourth wall, because this is, you know, we're actually talking about the video making process of the video that you're watching, or perhaps more of some of the other videos. But I've basically decided this year to adopt a Canon R50V, which is a small camera that's optimized for video. It's an APS-C sensor, and that will necessitate buying a couple of APS-C optimized lenses, but really I need a 16mm wide and an 18 to 55 mil all-rounder, and that will do. And I'm going to buy Sigma rather than Canon, because I think the additional this is a first departure or second departure for me away from Canon lenses. Coming from a studio background, I was very wedded to Canon L glass, and I honestly think for the saving that it makes, I think I'm going to move for my APS-C video making lenses. I'm going to move to Sigma because the price difference is very substantial. And Sigma have been licensed by Canon to make lenses to the Canon RF specification, and they're optimized for APS-C sensors, so it does make perfect sense. So there'll be 2 lenses brought in from Sigma, and we'll perhaps review those as we go. Other factors here, the simplification of my workflow, so I can stay within my Canon workflow. I use, certainly there'll be better matching ability between stills and video. I use DaVinci Resolve for all my video editing, and that's not going to change. We'll continue using DaVinci Resolve. It's very intuitive to learn. I love it. I think that the unified system is going to improve my ability to tell the story of how I get shots, simply because I'm going to be able to use the same camera to take a guide shot. Now, what I will inevitably do, and this is, I don't think there's any real answer to this. There are a few people I've seen on YouTube that do this very, very well indeed, but I'm not one of them. I can't really separate, or rather, I have to separate a video shoot from a photography shoot, because if I'm doing a video shoot, I waste everyone's time through constantly wanting to get the best still shot, and it's not necessary, frankly, for a video shoot. If I want to demonstrate a camera technique, the end result doesn't have to be a portfolio ready photograph, and that's been quite a revelation for me, and where that's leading me and will continue to lead me is to separating my video shoots. If I want a more cinematic look to my videos, I'm going to have to dedicate time to making those videos, and that is not compatible with getting portfolio ready shots. So those 2 activities are going to diverge, but the workflow will be the same. So making some justification, some savings in that aspect. What's been interesting this year for me primarily has been, I've had to be more disciplined in that I'm having to incorporate my YouTube work and my mentoring work and my teaching work with my photography work, and the only way to do that is to get disciplined about the time that's spent on each and all of these activities, and that's been a bit of a struggle, I have to admit. Also my family work, which of course you know, that's also important. You need to have, we all need to have a balanced lifestyle, and I think on occasion my dedication to photography and to teaching has probably impacted my family life a little bit, and I don't. I want to make that a better balance, I think, moving forward. So I think this year what we can expect to see are more cinematic videos, that is, more of the cinematic type videos. I'm going to divide up the type of video that I do on a monthly basis to roughly 1 of each type. So there'll be a reflective video like this one, there will be a how-to video about software, there will be a video about gear, cameras, lenses, and so on. And there will be a location-based video, which I'm hoping will be a lot more cinematic than I've been able to achieve thus far. Okay, guys, so I would really recommend doing this sort of an exercise. It doesn't have to be posted to YouTube, but I think it's really useful personally because certainly it gives you an opportunity to see trends in your photography that may be welcome and may not be welcome. So it gives you an opportunity to embrace or correct. It gives you an opportunity to get a more balanced output. And I think all these things are good. So I definitely recommend doing this type of a review in your own photography every 6 months or so, and and that way you keep growing, you keep expanding your repertoire, and I hope that certainly for me, it's enabled me to be less impulsive about buying kit, and more deliberate and more sensible about buying kit. And I think I may do a video at some point about the whole business of buying kit and how it nearly bankrupts us and how it need not, and what a constructive approach to buying kit might look like. Okay guys, thanks very much for watching. I hope it's been useful. As ever, questions down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and give us a tick if you've enjoyed the video. Thanks guys, I'll see you next week. Bye now.